Hey folks, this is Kalani. The World of Warcraft team just released a huge bombshell of information in the form of a new roadmap that covers the entirety of 2024. We have 3 content updates coming our way before the War Within, including a Season 4 that will revisit the Dragonflight raids. There are new features and content types, new quests, heritage armors and holiday events to look forward to. Then we have the War Within alphas and betas with rough timeframes, the War Within expansion itself, and there's even a content patch for the new expansion thrown in there as well. It also looks like the War Within will release sometime in summer, which is a bit earlier than we initially anticipated, and then there are some strange mysteries in this roadmap with absolutely zero solid information, so we still have some surprises to look forward to as well. So let's go through the roadmap and see what kind of content updates we have coming our way as we look forward into 2024. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. So to start with, we have 10.2.5. We know what most of the features of this patch are going to be. The Dragon Isle story will get all wrapped up. There's a new scenario to help the Gilneans reclaim their lost kingdom. Dragon riding gets opened up to work everywhere. The follower dungeon system will be introduced. Azerothian Archives kind of brings back archaeology, and we'll see the Outland Cup event as well. We've covered most of this in other videos, so it's just a big content injection for us to look forward to. The new piece of info that we have for 10.2.5 is that it will in fact release in January of next year, so we won't have too much longer to wait for that patch to come through. I still think it's going to launch earlier in January rather than towards the end of the month, but either way we are starting off the new year with 10.2.5 and all of that new content. Now before we continue, today's video is sponsored by Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus. Tacticus is a free-to-play, turn-based, tactical mobile game set in the grim darkness of the far future. Collect and upgrade over 50 legendary Warhammer 40,000 champions from 15 different playable factions who each have their own unique abilities. It's incredibly satisfying piecing together the perfect group for any given mission. It's just like setting up your party for Mythic Plus dungeons or raids. Take the skills and abilities you need to conquer your foes. My favourite character so far has to be Varro Tigurius. His special attack chains to multiple nearby enemies and deals massive damage, letting you clear the battlefield super quickly. You can play anytime, anywhere, and command your forces in fast-paced PvE campaign missions or in competitive PvP battles to prove you're the top commander. You can also join a guild and band together to take down massive bosses for even more rewards. The game is also being constantly updated with new game modes, champions, factions, missions, events and tournaments being added and updated on a regular basis, so there's always something new to look forward to. So use our link in the description to download Warhammer 40,000 Tacticus to conquer the battlefields of the far future today. Now getting back to the video, here's where the roadmap gets weird. Usually a patch has a big section that highlights the various bits and bobs coming in that patch. Just look at 10.2.7 and even 11.0.5 later on in the year. Just a general idea of what's coming. So what's up with this 10.2.6 thing? It's a skull and crossbones on what looks like a pirate flag, and that's it. That's all we get. It's also kind of like an extra patch because previous Dragonflight patches have followed a very specific formula. We launch with the 0.0, get a 0.5 later on, and then a 0.7 to lead us into the next major patch. We are still getting those 0.5 and 0.7 patches, so 0.6 is like a bonus with absolutely zero information. Now with it looking like a pirate flag, that immediately sends everyone off into Pirate Land. A new story with pirates, a new event with pirates. Maybe we'll get to play with pirate ships and open water content and pillage islands. I know there have been a few expansion ideas that kind of fit the bill of pirates and seafaring adventures, but they were shot down quite spectacularly with the 3 expansion announcement at BlizzCon. So this could be a tongue-in-cheek separate pirate story or event as a little fun nod to those discussions, or the dev team might just want to include some pirates in our World of Warcraft. But how do pirates fit into any part of anything to do with Dragonflight or the path laid out for us? They kinda don't, so I'm not sure a random pirate story or event fits the bill. I think this patch is going to be quite special for a variety of reasons. First off, it is completely unknown. We have zero information about this, which makes me think it's going to be very impactful when it does get announced properly. Second, 10.2.6 was pushed to another parallel PTR server, so it will get tested all on its own and most likely appear alongside 10.2.7 or Season 4 PTR testing. That means whatever this patch could be might need quite a bit of testing or be a feature or system that has the potential to break the game. If it was a simple story or event update, I wouldn't expect to see yet another PTR server spun up to accommodate it, and it probably wouldn't even need that much testing if it was just a small bonus story update. With that in mind, could this be something like Hardcore mode coming for retail WoW? Hardcore has been very popular in Classic, and there's no reason why it would only work for Classic servers. Retail would arguably have more of a time investment, and there would be harder challenges to overcome. This would also be a huge opportunity to add cosmetic or title rewards that used to work off of a no deaths parameter, like the Undying achievements back in the day. I don't think Hardcore retail is that far-fetched, and with it being so popular for Classic, maybe the dev team want to give retail that option as well. It definitely could be interesting, but that really does look like a pirate flag, so your guess is as good as mine right now. As for the timeline, we know this has to happen after January, and it looks like it should be in the last part of winter if we're going by the position of the Golden Season bar. That doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room, so this patch will likely launch sometime in February or March, with it being almost a bonus patch. I also don't think the typical 8-week gap between patches will apply here necessarily, especially considering the number of other updates coming our way in 2024. No matter what this patch ends up being, it looks like the dev team want to try and keep it a complete surprise for now, which is also just very exciting by itself. Now moving on from there, the War Within Alpha should start up sometime after 10.2.6, and we know that has already been slated for spring of next year, which was actually reiterated in the blue post, so we could see that start up as early as March, and I think that's quite likely simply due to how many other things are crammed into this roadmap. If they don't start the alpha soon, we won't have enough testing time. Sometime after that, but still in spring, we're going to see Season 4 of Dragonflight. We'll revisit the Dragonflight raids, so that basically confirms a fated season where we could see all 3 Dragonflight raids on a rotation. There will be a new PvP season, a new Mythic Plus season with a different set of dungeons most likely, as well as new open world rewards, which is quite interesting. I know that Shadowlands fated season specifically didn't really have many, if any, new rewards for open world content, so I'm curious to see what they do for that and how they add that in. As we head towards the end of spring, we'll see 10.2.7, which has the patch named Dark Heart. This will most likely start moving us towards the story of the War Within, the Dark Harbinger, and we'll explore how Xal'atath fits into everything. You can see we're going to get some Harbinger quests, Troll and Draenei heritage armor, as well as a new holiday event, so that's all very exciting. But what could this time-running Pandemonium update be? Note that it is spelled Pandemonium, and apparently that is not an accident, so it could be tied into the Pandaria expansion zones or areas, or maybe just have a panda randomly involved with it. We have no idea really. The time running name suggests a time limit will be involved. It kind of sounds like a variant of Mythic Plus dungeons or challenge mode dungeons from previous expansions, and then there was also a vampire survivor mode data mined in a recent PTR build, so that could potentially tie into this new feature as well. But that's yet another secret feature coming our way in Dragonflight, and that's all before we get to the big new content surge from the War Within. As we move into the start of summer, the War Within beta should start up, which at that point it would usually be an almost feature-complete beta, and the feedback would be focused on polish and balance tuning, so that's really getting ready for the expansion launch. The pre-patch for the War Within expansion looks to drop somewhere in the middle of summer, potentially maybe even early summer, which could be 4 to 6 weeks before the expansion. I guess it mainly depends on when things are ready and what the pre-patch event is going to look like. From this roadmap we can see that the pre-patch should include world events, which will hopefully help tell the story of where we're going and who we are facing, as well as major features like warbands, dynamic flight, and guild updates. So the big account-wide progress system of warbands will be included with the pre-patch, so we won't have to wait until the expansion release to get all your alts ready and ship shape. Now the expansion itself looks like it's going to launch sometimes towards the end of summer or at the very start of autumn. The last 2 expansions have had the fall or autumn tag and have launched in November, so they were definitely cutting it pretty close, but where the expansion sits on this seasonal timeline, that's definitely early autumn if it doesn't get released in summer, but it really does look like summer. If we're looking at a summer release, I would slate it for August or September, and that's when we'll be able to jump into the rest of the content, including the campaign story, leveling up, delves, hero talents, the new allied race, exploring the zones and dungeons, and we'll have a new raid release as well, and the first season of the War Within, so that's just a whole bunch of content to look forward to. And then we even have the first content patch for the War Within planned for 2024 as well, with the new story quests and new content and systems updates. I'm sure we'll find out a lot more about this patch when the expansion has actually released, but I'm honestly surprised this is even on here. They're committing to not only all of the content up to and including the new expansion, but also to the first 0.5 patch of that new expansion, all within the same year. That is a lot of content coming our way. The 20th anniversary event is also tagged onto that same patch, which means that 11.0.5 could launch sometime in November to line up with the anniversary event, which will probably end up being a huge event, seeing as it's a nice big round 20 years of celebrations. And it's also worth noting that winter for 2024 is not included on the seasonal bar, which means 11.0.5 would have to launch before the end of November anyway, which also means that the War Within expansion should release earlier in summer like we anticipate. So we have a crazy amount of content to look forward to in 2024. Multiple patches before the War Within, as well as several updates as part of the War Within expansion, with those special little secrets of 10.2.6 and the time-running Pandemonium feature thrown in for good measure. It is going to be a very busy year for the WoW team, and we are going to have a constant stream of content by the looks of things. Now, if you can believe it, there's actually more, because it's not just retail information, we also have a roadmap for classic WoW as well. For Wrath of the Lich King, you can expect to see the Ruby Sanctum raid early in 2024, the next phase of Season of Discovery with a level 40 cap should come through just after that, sometime before February. We know that because the self-found mode for Hardcore Classic is slated for February specifically, the Cataclysm Classic Beta should start up around the same time, the level 50 phase for Season of Discovery comes after that, then we'll have the Cataclysm Prepatch and Cataclysm Classic release, with the level 60 phase for Season of Discovery coming after that, so we won't reach max level in Season of Discovery until after Cataclysm launches later in the year. Then we can expect some Cataclysm content waves and an endgame update for Season of Discovery, which could be anything at this point, so there's a lot to look forward to for the classic side of WoW as well. But that's all we know so far for the crazy number of content updates coming our way in 2024. It's going to be a content-packed year by the looks of things, no matter which version of WoW you play, and I can't wait to see how the War Within is shaping up when the alpha launches in spring. What do you think about all of these content updates planned for next year? Do you think we'll see the War Within as early as August, or do you think it will release a bit later in the year? And what could that 10.2.6 Skull and Bones patch be all about? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you'd like to add your name to the end of every video with a special shout out at the start of the next video, you can find links in the description over to Patreon or click the join button just below this video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.